Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Benchwarmers Basement Banter. I am your solo host, Alan Wood, also known as Woody, on this podcast. I'm going to be going over my Major League Baseball relevant prospects for 2024. This is for fantasy and real life. I'm just going to go over for each team ones I think are going to be relevant up this year, do some damage. I might miss some. I'm not a professional analysis, forgive me, but I'm just going to give the ones that really stand out to me. I'm going to start with Baltimore. Jackson Holliday is already up. He's here. I think he's the real deal. He's the number one prospect in baseball. Not a big shock. Him and honestly, I think half the Norfolk Tides, the AAA team of Baltimore, I think they could be up in the majors. It's ridiculous how loaded Baltimore is. Keston Herstead, he was the number 2 pick. In the 2020 draft, I believe it was. He had some health issues. He's mashing balls now. His start of the year, he had like 6 homers the first 12 games. Ridiculous. The problem with Baltimore is they're so loaded. There's not a spot for him right now. Colby Mayo, same deal. Big guy, third base. K problem, big power. They've got Kyle Stowers. They've got Basilio kid who catches, plays first. They're just loaded. Like, literally half their team could make an impact or could be trade bait. I would really watch that situation. They got Corbin Burns without giving up any of these high-tier prospects. So, their team, I love them. High hopes for them. Moving on the rest of the East, Boston, Marcelo Meyer is a guy I think you need to keep an eye on. He was a top 5 pick a few years ago in the draft. He made Double-A, had some injury issues. I could see him up end of the year. If he starts out hot. He went back to Double-A. He's got a very good hit tool. He's not really an all-around athlete at short, but he's got decent, maybe 20 homer pop. Steady, could hit 300. He's just solid hit tool. The Yankees, I love Jason Dominguez. I think he was kind of set up to fail. With a guy with the name of the Martian, what could go wrong? But he was billed as the next Mike Trout coming up. Who can live up to that? I don't think that was fair. As far as what he brings to the table, he very solid plate discipline, bat-to-ball skills, the power was coming along. His cup of coffee with the Yankees last year before he had to have Tommy John surgery, he did great. His first game, Oppo Taco off Justin Verlander. Not many can do that. He's very solid speed. He stole 40 bags in the minors last year. I think he could be up June. I believe in June, July is when he should be back from his surgery. Their outfield looks crowded right now. They traded in the offseason for Soto, Verdugo. They've got Judge, but this is a classic case where I think life will find a way. I think by then they've got a lot of injury-prone guys. Stanton, who the hell knows where he'll be at by then. And like I said, he just impressed me where he's came. He's really came into his own as a player. Spencer Jones is another name that intrigues me. I don't think it's this year. He's like a clone of Aaron Jones. Huge stud, big exit velocities. Look at his spring training highlights. He'll eventually be there. I don't think it'll be this year. I don't think they will necessarily have a need there. For the Rays, this is probably my favorite prospect in the minors, is Junior Caminero. The guy's an absolute stud. Came over from Cleveland a couple of years ago. I think they, typical Rays fashion, fleeced them. He had a quad injury to start the year. First game back, Oppo Taco homer. He's the real deal. Has elite exit velocities, bat on ball skills. Doesn't walk a ton. But, I think the sky's the limit for him. In Tampa Bay, they get the most out of everybody. I'm a Cardinal fan. Ask me about that. Toronto, Ricky Tiedemann is intriguing to me. He's a lefty, throws big heat. He might fit in the rotation sooner than later. They had Bowden Francis pegged there as their number 5 right now. I don't think he's going to keep the door shut long. Tiedemann, though, has a control issue. Have to see where he's at with it. I'm not super high on him, but we'll see. He has good stuff. Moving to Central, the White Sox, I'm sorry, they're a shit show. About all I got there is Colson Montgomery. He himself, I think he draws a lot of comps to Corey Seager. He's a big guy, short. I don't know if he'll stick there, but he could move to third, maybe even second. He's like 6'3", over 200 pounds. Very solid hit tool. The power is developing. As far as his skills, I love it. I don't know when they'll bring him up because they have no reason to bring him up. I think he's very close to MLB ready, but I mean, they're trash. I could see them keeping him down to the end of the year just to try to have him as eligible for next year's Rookie of the Year race because the draft hit compensation you get from that now, that would be the only thing that holds him back. I mean, gosh dang, they don't have the talent to keep him back, but it might be a manipulative deal. The Guardians, I love Chase DeLauder. The kid's a monster. He in spring training went bonkers, hit like 4 or 5 homers. I mean, I don't know when they'll bring him up because the Guardians are another low-budget team. Very manipulative time. Kyle Manzaro is another name that intrigues me there. I could see up sooner. I thought he might get a shot for opening day. He came over from the Rays in the Aaron Savali trade, I believe. And I really thought he would start the year at first. They probably a service time manipulation. But I think if he starts the year of hot AAA and they contend, the Guardians have got off to a very hot start. I think there is definitely going to be a need for him as a lefty bat in that lineup. They struggle with the lefty side of things. I think he'll get up before DeLauder. Is why I would rank him a little higher. DeLauder has a higher ceiling, though. I mean, this guy has 30 homer pop easily. I mean, they come up. Cleveland could be a force to be reckoned with this year. Moving on to Detroit. Colt Keith, I really liked him. He started the year on the team. They gave him an extension over the offseason. So he started the year up. He's not got off to a hot start, but it's Detroit. It's cold. Who does offensively? That ballpark worries me for him as far as how he profiles. But I like his bat-to-ball skills. I like his all-around game. Jackson Jobe is another name to look at there. He was a first-round pick, top 5 overall, I believe, in the 2021 draft out of high school. He has electric stuff. Has one of the best sliders in the minors. Upper 90s fastball. What I could see with him is coming up. They're going to have to watch his innings, as you do with all young pitchers. End of the year, bringing him up out of the pen. Could be amazing. And he's a name to watch for Dynasty going forward. He could be in the rotation next year. But I do think he will debut in some capacity this year. I don't have anybody for Kansas City. They have had a wave of guys come up, young talent on the roster, but no one in the minors really struck me as could be fantasy relevant or even get excited about for real life. Minnesota, I don't know if they'll have anybody up this year. Brooks Lee, I really like him. He's a big shortstop as well, along the lines of Colson Montgomery. They've got a kid named Walker Jenkins who could be a monster down there. He was taken, I believe, 5th this last year, but he won't. I don't think he'll make it up this year. He's taken out of high school. He's 19. Stupid power, bat speed off the charts. Very excited for him long term, but I just don't see it this year. Brooksley could be because it seems like everyone their dog gets hurt in Minnesota. I love Royce Lewis to death. Don't know if he'll ever play 100 games, but they could have a need for him end of the year. Houston, moving to the AL West. I don't have anybody for Houston. They're like LA, though. Their development would not surprise me if I've overlooked somebody. They find a way up there. They traded a few guys away in the Verlander deal that were intriguing. They've made some trades. I mean, they're win-now team. No one I really see right now intrigues me. LA, they're a dumpster fire. If they had anybody relevant, the Angels would probably wreck them. I have nobody there. Oakland, same deal. One name I'll point out is Mason Miller. This guy could be the best closer in baseball. He will not get many opportunities because the A's are dog poo. But he's averaging like 101 on his fastball right now. He is just a stupid freak. I don't know how sustainable it is. We've talked about pitching injuries on the previous episodes. But he's fun while he's up there. Moving on to Seattle, it's in the ALS. They're really prospect-wise, with the exception of Texas, no one intrigued me too much. They have a catcher named Harry Ford. I don't know that he will be up this year. He's got a very well-rounded game for a catcher. He's got speed, brings that to the table. Solid hit tool, could have 20 homer power. I don't know what the need will be there with him. Moving on to Texas, though, Wyatt Langford, my favorite prospect all baseball. He's up, so start the year. I don't care. If you can buy him in fantasy, buy. This happens with prospects. They come up, they don't always hit the ground running, especially nowadays. Bobby Witt, Julio. I'm not scared off at all by his start. Evan Carter, I'm not as big on him. If you look into his numbers, he came up, he did hit some homers last year, looked good in the postseason. Underlying metrics are not great. I don't think the power is going to be there. He does bring speed to the table. Great lineup. I think he's fine. But Wyatt Langford, I think, has that next level capability. I don't personally see that in Evan Carter. But both those guys, though, I mean, they're pretty big names to roster, even in real life, to follow. Move on to National League. I'm going to start with the Braves, especially with the injuries to the rotation, as in Spencer Strider. Hate that. But A.J. Smith-Shawver, he's a name to look out for. He has big fastball. He was in contention spring training, had a rough spring training for the fifth spot in the rotation. I could see him up some point in time this year. They also have Huston Waldrop. He's a lefty. He's got very good stuff. Control is a big problem for him. He was a very high draft pick for them as well. Both those guys, I could see second half. Injuries is going to play a lot of it if they'll be up. I'm intrigued by both of them. We'll see. Miami, I got nothing. Once again, it's an Oakland A's type dumpster fire. I hope anybody with talent gets out of there. I don't have a prospect I'm intrigued by. All right, so that brings me to the Mets. Christian Scott, that guy has looked amazing at AAA. He has very good stuff. He barely even cracked the top 100 for this year. But electric fastball, his minors numbers are bonkers. He's striking out like almost 20 per 9 innings. He had 19 Ks in 9 innings last I checked. And the Mets rotation too, there could be a spot for him in the near future. Jose Buto has looked amazing, which is unfortunate because good for you, but I thought that would be his spot. But I think sooner or later he will be up. Some other names to look at, Baby Acuna, Ronald's younger brother, Luis Angel Acuna. He came over in the Rangers trade. Bat is a question. He's got very good speed. Strikeout problem. If he can put bat on ball, he plays short. He could be intriguing. Drew Gilbert is the other name. Both these guys, I think, second half will look possibly. Probably depends on where the Mets are at. Drew Gilbert came over in the Verlander trade from Houston. He's got very good bat, good bat speed, pretty good pop. He's not the biggest guy, but good pop. He could fit into a corner outfield spot. Christian Scott is your name to roster right now. With Philly, Andrew Painter's a prospect I love with them. Unfortunately, like many other young pitchers, he's coming off Tommy John. I could see him coming up into the year for bullpen help, which they probably will need, and kind of way to ease him back in. As far as more impact, though, Mick Abel, he was a first-round pick as well a couple years ago. He's had control problems, but good stuff. Solid fastball, curveball combo. I like him. I could see the back end of the rotation. They're solid up front. Back end with Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez. We'll see where they're at. I think they still have Taijuan Walker. There definitely isn't anyone holding him back. I'd watch for him. In Washington, two guys I love for Dynasty, for fantasy. But impact for this year, I don't know because Washington isn't really trying to contend. James Wood, freak, 6'7", amazing exit velocities, a little swing and miss in the profile, a lot, but he's a monster. I mean, huge guy. I love the power upside. And the other guy was Dylan Cruz. He was drafted ahead of Wyatt Langford, number 2 in this last draft, I believe, out of LSU. Good bat speed, solid kid, good hit tool, bat, power. But both these guys, I do not know that they will be up any relevant point this year. I could see end of the year for a cup of coffee. I think they'll want to keep those guys with rookie eligibility for next year because draft pick compensation. Can't blame them. They're exciting, though. Washington is an exciting young team. They've got a lot of pieces there. Love C.J. Abrams. Pitching side, Mackenzie Gore is starting to break out. Like them, don't know they'll be up this year. Central. I've got the Cubbies to start. I'm not a big Pete Crow Armstrong guy for fantasy. Real life, very good defender. As a Cardinal fan, he reminds me a lot of Harrison Bader. Really does. Very questionable hit tool. Very. I don't see the power. If he hits 250, 260, I think it's a win. But, that glove in center is very valuable, especially with a team with playoff aspirations like the Cubs, the pitching staff they have. They don't have a lot of swing and miss guys. I could see him being up making an impact. I just don't want him for fantasy. Ben Brown's the other guy. Big arm. He's kind of a two-pitch pitcher. Very electric fastball and curveball. His curveball is his main pitch, truthfully. But he has control issues. I don't know how they'll use him. He's made a few spot starts now, but when they get healthy, we'll see. But real-life impact could be big out of the pen and as your 4 or 5 guy. Don't know that fans are real excited to own him, though, because of the role in question. Cincinnati. Noelvi Marte. I love the kid. Stay off the roids. Come on, buddy. You're in Cincinnati. You're in that bandwagon park. You don't need those. He's out for the first half of the year. He was my big guy. I was very excited about. We'll see how much it affects him. But first half he's missing. Connor Phillips is a kid I like in the minors too. He's another guy with good fastball, solid secondaries, but iffy control. He pitched at Double-A in the Texas League where they had the tacky ball in. I don't know if that kind of inflated his Ks. We'll see, but I could see him back into the rotation making an impact for him. In Milwaukee, Jackson Chourio, beginning and end of it. Love the kid's skills. I think he has J-Rod-like skills. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as J-Rod, but he's got the power-speed combo going on. He could easily swipe 30 bags. They've been hitting him. He started the year off pretty good. Underlying numbers don't look great, but I think he'll figure it out. I really do. Prospect pedigree, great minors record. I'm a believer in the kid. In Pittsburgh, we've got Paul Skeens is the guy I'm looking at. Jared Jones has had a hell of a start to the year. He's a very good pitcher in his own right. Skeens, though, he's the guy I would go with for my preference. I don't know. Pittsburgh's contending right now. They could use him in the rotation. They could be a dark horse team if they don't fade like last year. But Skeens, he was number 1 pick over Langford and Cruz. He throws 100-plus regularly. We'll see if he can keep it up. Right now, they've had him in 3-inning increments, trying to preserve those innings. I think he could be up in May. He's the real deal. Fastball, slider, mixes in a curve. It's just a matter of how many innings you get from him. But I'm very excited for when he comes up. Love what he's got. For the Cardinals, I had Victor Scott. He came up to start the year. Not a good start at all. Speed D, that's his tool. He just got hit enough to stay relevant. That's been a struggle so far. I wasn't sure if he's ready to begin the year. I think he could use some seasoning at AAA. When he was drafted, it was a hit tool development guy. I could see him back in the minors and into the year coming up because I think he does have a major league future. That glove, that speed, he's electric. I would love to see him up here and see what he can do, but I definitely think he needs some development of the hit tool. The NL West, we'll move there. Jordan Lawler, he's hurt. Not great to start the year. I've liked him since he was drafted. Good power speed guy, short, does have a strikeout problem. And it's going to be hard to fit in that lineup. Arizona made it to the World Series last year. Perdomo's hurt. Would have been great if he could have filled in then. But they've got a kid named Blaze Alexander who's hit the ground running. It's just a matter of can they fit him in and when he gets healthy. But I like his skill set. Colorado, I got nothing. They're about in the White Sox territory for me as far as garbage. The Dodgers, when I first looked at it, I'm not counting Yamamoto. I'm sorry, I know he's rookie eligibility, but he's 26. He's been the MVP in Japan for years. He's a cheat. If you want that, sure. I'm not going there. At first, I was like, they don't have anybody, but they're the Dodgers. They will find somebody, and I will not bet against them. But I actually looked more into it, and Andy Pages, I believe that's his name, he intrigues me. He's not a huge guy, 6 foot, 200 ballpark, but he has awesome pop, bat speed. He's had some injury issues, but if anyone could get the most out of guys, it's the Dodgers. And he just really is a name to watch. He honestly has 30-plus homer pop, put up big numbers at Double-A. Little swing and miss, but in that ballpark too, that lineup, if he gets a runway, I think he could impress. getting close to the end of this with the Padres, I had Jackson Merrill. I wasn't sure if he'd start the year with the team. He's stupid young. He's 20. Very solid hit tool. His power, I figured it would be the last to come along. And I still think it will be. I think 15 homers is probably the ceiling this year. But he's not been overwhelmed. He has exceeded my expectations like that rookie curve. He's hit the ground running. Speed, too, he brings that to the table. Like, this is a guy, if you can get him now, I think down the future when he grows into his body frame, he's not a small kid by any means. Very solid frame. He grows into it. This kid could be a stud. Like 20 homer, 30 speed upside, 30 steals. I think the sky's the limit for him. And they've already trusted him, putting him leadoff some games. He hit that in spring. He's eligible at short and outfield. He's played in center a lot for them. I think that's primarily where he'll be. The kid, I think, will be a stud. That brings me to the last team. We got the Giants. Marco Luciano was compared years ago to A-Rod for his bat speed at short. That's not really materialized. That being said, I hate it when these lofty comps get put on kids. It's like with Dominguez. They comped him to Trout. That's not fair. Luciano struggled a bit with swing and miss issue. He still has very good power. I don't know that it's 80 grade off the charts like they thought, but it looks like the Giants are going to give him a bigger leash now since Crawford's gone. And I hope he hits enough to stick. Defense will not be his calling card. It will not keep him up. Power, that's where it's at. If he can keep strikeouts under control, he could be something. Luis Matos, he's the opposite. His bat got him there, but it was because of his bat-to-ball skills. He's shown more pop in spring and started the year at AAA. His exit velocity is much better than last year. He does not have a strikeout problem. He hit 300 hitter. Very solid. If he can hit 20 homers, this kid could be someone to watch. You got to prove it. We'll see. Hopefully it translates. He's supposedly put on muscle. His exit velocities show it. A little higher to start. Small sample. We'll see where it is. Those are all the guys that I think for this year are fantasy relevant. Hit on a few that could be in the future. So, if I missed anybody, let me know in the comments. I'm not afraid to be wrong. Sounds good. So, thank you for tuning in to this latest episode of Benchwarmers Basement Banner. Have a good evening. See ya.